Welkom bij de Van Hopeloos naar Hotspot podcast. Hi, welcome to the From Hopeless to Hotspot podcast. This is your host, Sandra Pullman from Glowing Places speaking. I'm a city maker and redeveloper of existing city areas, a job I love because it helps revitalize cities and villages, places we all need to nurture us and to feel at home. In this podcast series, I'm taking you on an expedition to investigate in what ways we can revive inner cities from the inside out by redeveloping these areas that struggle with vacancy and decline, so that they can become the vibrant, mixed-use places we long for, to meet and shop and work and live, to do business, to experience culture, and so much more. My intention, actually, is to raise the level of our industry of urban redevelopment by learning from each other and by creating connections between all kinds of interesting people in the field. I love doing that because I'm a forever curious learning junkie and I really enjoy talking to all kinds of city makers, politicians, and entrepreneurs. In addition, I'm working in the field. I give lectures as a motivational speaker, and I'm the author of the book From Hopeless to Hotspot. If you're a regular listener, you might think by now, hey, this podcast was in Dutch, right? You're absolutely right. It has been up to now. But today we have an international guest. So, of course, we switch to English. Well then, who are we going to meet? We're going to talk about outdoor design with someone who is not really in that country now. He's in Latvia, but he's from a country that is somehow, for me, always connected with elegant and refined design, with great taste in fashion and food and furniture. Can you guess which country I'm talking about? It's Italy, of course. And the person I'm going to introduce you to is very passionate about the social interaction that design can create in the public space. Not as mere eye candy, randomly picked from a catalog, but as a meaningful, carefully chosen and designed tool that brings specific groups of people together and that creates very special places. And yes, okay, it's allowed to be beautiful too and bring a smile upon your face. I say hi and a warm welcome to Alberto Macciello from the Placemaking Group. Alberto, a very warm welcome to the podcast.
Ciao, Sandra. Ciao. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here. And it's my first time in English, but it gives me the opportunity to talk to you. And I think I'm going to enjoy it very much. And the listeners too, of course. Alberto, can you please introduce yourself? Who are you? What drives you?
Okay. So my name is Alberto Mattiello. I am the creative director of a group. The name is The Placemakers. It's a group is like a manufacturing group of urban furniture. And what drives me? I would say innovation. Actually, I am a designer. I got graduated at the Polytechnic of Milan a lot of years ago in design, but I work a lot in the field of innovation. So what drives me, it's everything that is changing and always looking for enthusiast people that likes to change things. So probably that's why we're talking today.
I think so, yeah. We have a connection there. Yeah. And why is it that you speak English so well, I wonder?
No, because actually I'm Italian, obviously, as you can see from the accent, but I've been living in Miami for 12 years now. Actually, I'm in Latvia, so north of Europe, close to Sweden, just because it's like one of the other pandemic story means that I got locked out from my house in Miami. Where I moved here to stay like a couple of months with my family in February last year, and then they closed the border. So my English is because I'm living in Miami. Actually, if you have been in Miami, or if everyone has been in Miami, knows that they don't speak a lot of English there. So
No?
this is no, really, it's like it's closer to the South American than the United States. But yeah, like I have the basics, so it's gonna be enough for our conversation today.
It's more than enough. I love to talk to you. And can you tell us something about the group of companies that the placemaking group represents?
Yep. So it's the placemaker groups was born 3 years ago now. The main company it's and the main brand, probably if there's architects and designers listening, they know Metalco. Metalco, it has been on the market for 30 years now. It's like a global company with a global reach. So it's the main brand of the group. And a couple of years ago, Metalco bought other two brands. It was two main competitors in Italy. The one is City Design and the other one is Bellitalia. Bellitalia, it's connected to all concrete structures, so like big furniture, concrete furniture. And City Design, it's like the IKEA of the outdoor. So very colorful, very smart design, and even cheaper design. And then there's a lot of other different spin-off. We have 1984. It's a company connected to customized product. So when we have architects with something specific in mind for a specific area. So 1984 is the company. And then we have one dedicated to sport, one dedicated to work always outside. So we are focused on everything that is public spaces or semi-public spaces. And the outdoor, it's where we work. So, but I think we're gonna have time to go more in deep on all the other different projects.
Yeah, of course. But so it's a very big group. And why is it a group? I mean, it could also be different companies. And why the representation as a group?
Thank you for the question. It's a super good question. I was the one helping the company and developing the company this idea of having a group, because I thought. And we thought, and we shared this idea that we needed like a common philosophy to guide all our new evolution of design for each one of the companies. So the placemaker group and the idea of creating placemaking, I think it was the best way to move from a very product-centric companies to a philosophy and a purpose-driven companies. So that's why we started to think what was our purpose on the market, and then from there we developed the placemaking philosophy, our way of placemaking philosophy, and then that's why the group was born. And then obviously there's also like a more support for the small companies to being part of a big group, because obviously the new spin-offs, they're like startups, so they needed to be part of something bigger to be more consistent on the market.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So you also bring forward startups as well. And what is the philosophy of the Placemakers Group?
Okay, we can sum up this connected to the idea of starting from a space. For us, a space, it's like a land where people just goes by, but there is nothing connected to activities or memories. And we want to move this to a different perception that is a place. And for us, a place, it's somewhere you go to do something, and somewhere you go even with your memories after that you have been done something there. So our idea is to create tools, and we have some different rules that I can quote some of them, but we have really good guidelines that helps us not just to design and to imagine what kind of tools we want to design to help people, to do activities outdoor, to socialize outdoor. But those guidelines help us also to choose the right designers for us to design the things that we need. In other words, before having a philosophy, all the market was led by designers sending us projects. Mm-hmm. And so we were just choosing the ones that we thought, it was more interesting for the market. Now we are working the other way around. So we have a clear idea in mind of how we want to transform cities. And so we are pitching to different designers those ideas. And so we are receiving projects that are really connected to our philosophy. So now the philosophy probably is the main tool that we have to design our future as a company, as a group.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand what you mean. It's what I said in the introduction. It's not a catalog of all kinds of projects and concepts, but it's much more looking at what a place needs, what a city needs. And from there on you go, yeah, on your way to make it a very special place where you say you have great activities, where you can socialize, where you have memories. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. It's the other way around.
And you know what? Even in connection with the cities that are our clients, it's different to go and sell products or to go and inspire how the city can change. So even the relationship that we're having with them, I see that is completely different. The kind of talk that we are having now, they're more, I would say they're more interesting because there's a mutual goal that is creating something interesting for people. And then products are on the second level. So products are just tools once that we know where we want to go and where the cities want to go.
Yeah, you make it very clear. Thank you. And where can we find projects of the Placemakers Group?
Okay. Obviously, as I was mentioning before, Metalco, it's been in the market for 30 years, Bell'Italia too. So we have projects almost, I would say, everywhere, like 30 cities, 4,000 cities and then 30 countries. We have agents or companies there. So Singapore, Dubai, Rio de Janeiro, Doha, Mexico City, Miami, Toronto, Sydney.
Great. Yeah, worldwide.
Almost everywhere. Almost everywhere.
Yeah. And for you, that's normal to say, but it's quite remarkable. So I wanted to share this with the listeners. What kind of company you represent? Yeah, it's great. So you're all over the world.
You're almost. I would say almost.
And where are you not?
I would say that now we're investing a lot in Russia, in the presence there. South America, we have been investing a lot. We are already there in Brazil, but there's a lot of countries we're still working on in terms of presence. And United States too. We are still not in the position that we would like to. So it's another huge market that we're pushing in. We're already in different cities, but we know that we can do a lot more.
Yeah, I understand. You are there, but just with one foot, and you want to really expand over there. Okay, great. Alberto, can you name places and cities that have really blossomed after you have realized projects over there? And how has it been when you started, and what have you been able to do and to achieve so far?
Okay, you know what? If I have to mention one project, probably I will mention the one that we did in Miami Beach for two reasons. One is the city where I live, so I was following this very closely, and then it was the first project that I did with Metalco. So it was a startup that I helped to create, and then it was the reason why I started to work with them like 6 years ago. And
what's it called, the startup?
So the startup, it's My Equilibria. You can find it on myequilibria.com. And but if you want to see the project, the easiest way is just Googling Miami Beach, Muscle Beach. And then you're going to see what we did. It's My Equilibria. It's a project focused on training outdoor. And Miami Beach is a good story. It's a good story because, okay, you have to know this. In the United States, there is two spot for super athletes to go to train outdoor. The one is Venice Beach and the other one is Miami Beach. Both of them, they're named Muscle Beach. And when I think the project was 2018, when Miami Beach decided to renovate that area, it was like a big thing because, okay, you have to imagine like a spot with very rusty and old stuff. With just super big guys, super muscular guys going there to train, and a lot of tourists making and taking pictures of them doing like crazy stuff. And even if all the structures were really super old and super, even in a bad shape, there was a super important sense of belongings of that community connected to that spot. So we were redesigning that area, knowing that you have like a very strong community connected to those stuff. And what happened is that after that we won the contest, so the city assigned to us the renovation, the problem was that all the community of people that were training there, they started to fight, they started to protest, they even chained themselves to the old structures. And if you see those guys, they're not people that you want to mess with. So they're like, this huge people. And so actually at the end, obviously we finished the renovation. And you know what? Two big things happened there. The first one, the community was exploding in the sense of there was not just the niche of super big athletes, but a lot of normal people, a regular guy like me with a belly was, I still now they're going there to train. So it has become not just a tourist attraction, but really like something for regular people that goes there and train. So the community now is huge, like thousands of people every day goes there to train.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, really. And it's even like in the middle of Miami Beach, or in the middle of the most tourist area. And the second thing, after 2 months that the installation were there, all the community there, they decided, but themselves, to create like a collection of food, a collection of clothes for homeless to bring to the mayor to say thank you for the renovation. So you know what? I don't think this happened a lot. That citizens really feels the need to go and say thank you to a mayor. Usually, and this is for sure in the United States, there's a very big sense of entitlement. So you have to give me this because we're in Miami Beach. And in that case, really, they were genuinely thinking, okay, thank you very much. This renovation is awesome. And now, okay, the project has been there for 3 years, and the community now is super big.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, 1,000 people on a workout on the beach. I mean, I have to see it. We just have to go there.
You have to come and train.
I have to train. Yeah, I have to train. I'm not allowed to just watch. I mean, I have to join in. Yeah.
And you know what? From that project, one of the guidelines of the placemaking was starting from that project. The idea of anchoring people. So finding a way to have people that can stay on a spot, feel that they are regular on that spot, and giving them tools to spend time outdoor is probably one of the essence of our idea of placemaking. And My Equilibra, if okay, obviously you saw the project, it looks like a sculpture. And our idea that we got in mind at that time, there was not much stuff for outdoor training. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to create something that was iconic, something that could attract and slow the flow. That is another guideline that we use, slow the flow, do something that people can, at least slow while they're, walking and fast as we do when we are in the city. Mm-hmm. And slow the flow is another key, key guideline. So both of them, they're very, okay, you can see them easily on the project, on the My Equilibra project.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, in the description, I'll put a lot of clickable links so people can
very good.
But also can see the project and not only hear about it. But I think they'll be eager to see how it looks like. It's very beautiful too. And I know you also did a project with Stefano Buri, Super Verde. Can you tell about that?
Yeah, it's still, we didn't install this yet because it's one of the new projects. Stefano Boeri, it's the architect of the vertical wood. I know that it's installing, or probably they're finishing a building.
Yeah, they're finishing.
I mean, right?
In Eindhoven, they're building a vertical forest flat. Can I put it like that in English? At the Strijp S, a project I also worked on. And it's nearing completion. Nice. Yeah, so we're very looking forward to it.
I think, in Italy, I would say that there was it was a very controversial building, but for different reasons. But because in Italy, we create controversy in everything. But I think right now is one of the most iconic building in the world. And you're going to see, because, I've been spending a lot of time in Milan for business reasons. And every time I go there, it's a different season, and it's really like looking at the wood, but a vertical one, and it's changing with seasons. And Stefano Boeri and his team, they did a beautiful, beautiful project with that. And so one of the reasons we work with him, it's because another guideline that we have on the placemaking is that we want to bridge the gap between us and nature. So we need tools to do that. We need to have ideas in order to do that. We really believe that we're living on a very disconnected moment where, we spend a lot of time indoor. We're not very connected with nature. And actually, we do collectively to nature things that probably personally we would never do. So there's a lot to do there. And so we asked him to create something that could be something that people could live. So something live in terms of enjoy and use. And so we created Superverde. Superverde.
Can you explain what it is for the listener?
It is like a big... Okay, there's different ways to explain this, but we are selling ecosystems in square meters. That this is the final goal.
Yeah,
so how many square meters of ecosystem do you need? Okay, we can create this. Yeah. The actual the actual piece of Superverde is like a huge vase. The idea is to bring nature, even big trees, where you actually can dig. So if you have a parking lot or if you are on a terrace, or if you are in a space where you actually can remove things. So we created this tool that looks like a vase, is like a very modular one. There's a lot of technology inside.
A very large one.
Huge, like a huge vase.
Huge vase, yeah.
So this is probably the easiest way to understand it, but then the best way is to Google Superverde. Maybe you can put the link on this.
I'll put the links in.
You're gonna find a lot of pictures of this. We're finalizing the tool right now, so we're hoping to have the first installation should be in September in Italy. But there is a lot of cities in line that are waiting for the final version.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine all kinds of places where you have a parking lot in the basement and you want to have some green, and even puts biodiversity and trees and all kinds of stuff in a very stony concrete place. So
and you know what, they spend the Boeri studio, they spend a lot of time not just designing the tool and all the accessories of a tool and how to have something that can survive by itself out there. But they spend a lot of time connected to what kind of flowers, what kind of smell, what kind of shadow, what kind of insects do we want to attract. So the actual tool is not just a couple of trees. It's like a real ecosystem with everything that is needed to attract the right life and the right insects and everything. So I'm positive they're gonna be beautiful. I saw the prototype, and the prototype is amazing, and so I can't wait to see it out there and see how people will use it. Every time that we do something and you put it out there in the public, you don't know how people will be, they're gonna see it, how they're gonna use it, and so we can't wait to have this live interaction of this.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see it. Well, we already talked about what is the core of your approach. In the Netherlands, Alberto, many shops are closing, mostly in smaller cities. That was going on before the corona crisis already. And now even in bigger cities, shops are closing. Does this happen in Italian cities as well?
Yes, obviously it's happening everywhere, probably. I believe that the retail industry had problems before the pandemic, and the pandemic was just a big accelerators for that. All the big retailers, they are redesigning their real estate strategies, and this is part of the big change that the pandemic was forcing. But the main topic here is that before the pandemic, almost we say 70-80 million people every year were moving towards cities, because cities, they were the land of opportunities. Or cities where the big metaphor of work is there, opportunities are there. Now, I don't know what is going to happen. There's a lot of, at the moment we're in the middle of this change, and we don't know how this is going to move. But we know that work, education, and shopping, they're moving in different ways. So at the moment, I see that cities should be focusing on more on the lifestyle that they want to propose to their citizen, and this is key for big cities and small cities to find their own position in terms of what kind of service they want to create. I really believe that, you know what, the lesson that cities like brands have learned is that citizens now, they're no longer loyal. And the kind of expectation that the pandemic was emerging, it was putting on the spot, they're very different. So there's a lot of sign connected to that. There was, I don't know if you got the chance to see this. You know, the Arup Group, the global architectural firm, they did a research during the first pandemic, and they were going around asking to citizens in all over Europe, all the big cities of Europe. And one of the questions that they did on the survey was, are you willing to move outside the city where you're living now? Mm-hmm. And the percentage was huge. We're talking about 60% of people in London, 30 in Berlin, 40 in Milan, that they were saying, yeah, I'm thinking of moving outside the city. So at the moment, I don't think those percentage will be transformed in actual people leaving the city to go to live outside. But for sure, work, education, they're changing a lot. So I think from one side is like a big danger for cities to mm-hmm. you know, to lose part of those. And so in this case, this is connected to your questions, connected to retailers. So if there's no people going in the center of the city, there are not going to be shops. But at the same time, I think it's like the best moment to redesign the kind of purpose that you want to have as a city. And now a citizen to live somewhere, they want more than just services. I think they want, you know, they want to have like an idea of city, an idea of lifestyle. In different cities, they will attract in this way different kind of people. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be super interesting to see what is going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting what you say. Cities have to redefine their purpose. And city centers, I mean, I don't know how it is in the other countries, but in the Netherlands, it was mostly retail only. Mm-hmm. And we can shop in different ways now by internet and yeah, what you also say. But so we have to define new purposes for these inner cities that are much more, I think, mixed use, much more places to work, places to meet, places to live. And it has to be very attractive in itself, I think, to have that level of lifestyle that you would say, I'm going to move to that city. It's not so, yeah.
You know what?
You don't have to, yeah.
One of the big topic for me is going to be nomadism. Yeah. Means that at the moment, every system in our world, they are set up to let people to stay and to live for years on a specific place. Yeah. The kind of cities that will be able to create spaces for people that can go and stay 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then move, but finding education for the kids and finding all the service that they need so that they can, you know, move easily. I think they're going to have a super success in the future. People now, they're not connected to like a specific spot. They want to be free. I'm talking about obviously different kind of ages. There is different ages where you want to sit and mm-hmm. and be quiet. But working people, I believe that in the future, they want to have those kind of lifestyle. And so at the moment, the cities and systems, I'm talking about a national system, they're not serving this. And this is going to be like a key issue, probably in terms of competitive advantage and mm-hmm. and attraction factor for people that want to take advantage of the remote work, take advantage of remote education and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think nomadism is a kind of a great concept. I hadn't heard about it before. I think that will add to it. But also what you pointed out in a bit before, like there was a standard way of people attracted to the cities. Urbanization mm-hmm. was, the way to go. And now we are getting more options. So cities really have to be very attractive and offer a very good lifestyle to be able to attract people. I think, they have to do that even more.
A lot of examples, but the first one that I would like to mention, because it was the first one that I heard this directly. I work with in an advertising agency. I've been working with them for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. The name is Funderman Thompson. And at the first wave, in the first survey that the company did to all the employees and say, okay, so how are you dealing with this remote working? I remember that one of it was a girl. She was a girl and it was like a newcomer, was super young. And she said, oh, for me, everything is fine, but can I work a couple of months here and there in different offices, like in Paris, Madrid? The company has offices all around the world, but still being connected with the Italian company that is the one paying for me. So I can experience different culture at the same time, continuously working exactly as I'm doing. So this idea, since then, I'm thinking, that's the way you should interpret this moment. So I thought it was super clever, and it was like, just one answer out of 200 people. But in that answer, there was a lot of the trends of someone that probably feels the need of living in a different way.
Yeah, big transformations ahead, huh? In these times.
No, for sure. Next 3 years, they're going to be amazing.
Yeah. And do you have a golden tip for city centers that are struggling with vacancy from your point of view?
You know what? It's as we were saying before. You need to find your purpose, and you have to attract retailers, and you have to attract the education system. You have to attract families connected to the purpose that you want to have. In the purpose, the lifestyle is going to be key, and every city should dig in their cultures, should dig in their own social language to find that purpose. I don't think you have to making it's not like a chemical thing where you find your spot. You have to understand who you are. You have to understand, and when you understand who you are, you have to make the best to have people to understand where you want to go as a city. And I believe that a lot of cities, they're not ready for this kind of way of thinking.
Yeah, I think you're very right. What you describe is cities need a very entrepreneurial approach for the development and redevelopment transformation of their city. And I don't know if I don't think many cities can do that. What do you think?
I think this is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lot of expertise outside of the typical public ecosystem that can help cities to think in that way.
I think so too. Yeah.
So it's a branding problem, it's the marketing problem, it's a real estate problem, it's understanding technology, understanding future, understanding. So there's a lot of consulting to do, but I believe the tools are there. Obviously, nobody knows what is going to happen, and everyone is, trying to catch up with everything that is happening. But cities that are not thinking in this way, they're going to have problems in the next future. I'm positive.
Yeah, I think so too. Are you working on new developments, and can you tell us something about it?
Oh yeah, we are always looking on new developments.
Yeah, I know.
No, we just launched our second startup that is Etherland.com. Etherland.com is obviously the website. Etherland is the project. The same people that has been working on the MyEquilibrium problem, we moved to this new challenge, and this is connected to outdoor working. Mm-hmm. Actually, the first time that we installed the MyEquilibrium tree, the big sculpture, it was at the Salone del Mobile 4 years ago, and 4 years ago now. And I remember that when the spot where we installed the tree, it was like behind the university, like in a university in Milan. And the company, the Metalco company at the time, Placemaker, didn't exist yet. They placed obviously the big structure for fitness, and then there was some available space, and so they put some tables for picnic. In 1 second, I remember the big group was still positioning the second table, that the first one was full of students using it for do their own stuff. And we thought, you know what, actually maybe we can, work outside. Maybe we can spend more time doing our meetings in the nature. And so with this idea in mind, we developed Etherland. And Etherland is this. What we got studying more deeply in this topic is that work, usually it's associated to two things: doing meetings or being in front of a computer and doing your own stuff. But actually working, it's a lot more. Working is inspiration. Working is contamination, influence with other people, is co-creation. So we thought, why don't we complement the actual productivity work with our other ideas of stuff that you can do outside. And so we create different modules driven by this idea of having an objective. So creating spaces for people just to, share big boards and do brainstormings together, or even little rooms for meditation. Inspiration usually, it never comes. And I really believe that the best ideas never comes when you are in front of a PowerPoint. Okay, usually you're doing something different. You're running, you are, washing dishes. So can we help, to get people more inspired? Can we have to have people?
And are these outdoor workspaces in parks, or where could we find these things?
Ederland, you mean?
Yeah.
We just launched, so at the moment you can find it in our roof.
Yeah, okay, but where would you like to see it? I mean, would it be
where?
Yeah, where would you like to place it?
Okay, we started the roadshow like a couple of months ago, and the first big reaction they're coming from residential. So residential, I'm talking about the new kind of residential. So when you have big towers or a lot of houses with services, common services, with the pool, with the gym, and this. So they're asking this for as like a business center, outdoor business center, because they know that a lot of people will work from home more and more. So they're going to need spaces, common spaces to see other people and to spend time with other people. Corporate environment, obviously. We get some from there. Country club, gyms. For example, gyms that they want to complement their gyms with, you can go there with your computer, you train a little bit, you do like a meeting.
Yeah.
And I would say hospitality. Hospitality probably is for us the biggest the biggest market. Hospitality, I mean the leisure kind of traveler. So people that travel for work and then they bring their own family. Or vice versa, they go for a vacation at the same time. They need to have a space to work, and so if you are in a beautiful space close to the beach, you don't want to go in a business center, with air conditioning, the basements.
I'm a real nature lover, so I can see myself sitting outdoors. Really enjoying it and have more inspiration. Yeah.
You know what? If you go on Instagram, you just check #office today. You're going to find thousands of people doing exactly what you have just described. So people with a computer beside the pool or in a park or somewhere just saying, oh, this is my office today.
Yeah.
And that was a good inspiration for us. We started from that.
Yeah. We will become more of working nomads, and we don't have to move around the world to do that. We can just work outside in all kinds of places. Yeah. I can see what you mean. And I know you have many more great projects in the making. Can you tell us about Urban Mirror, maybe?
Yeah, Urban Mirror. I'm so happy about this project. Urban Mirror. Okay, it's a urban mirror. It's what it is. So exactly as we have a mirror in our houses, we decided to create a mirror tool of two different inspirations. When we presented the placemakers for the first time, it was at the Salone del Mobile in 2019. And in order to do that, we rented a spot. It was like a beautiful building. I think it was from 15th century. And there was like this spot. And when we did that, this installation, we decided not to add anything. So we needed like a space, cover the space to display all our ideas. And so we said, you know what, all the external part, we don't want to add anything to that, beautiful space. We just mirror the space. We want just to amplify what it is. And you know what, during that week, I spent a lot of time there. And what I realized is that mirrors as like a sort of area of influence. When you are close to a mirror, you can't be passive. You have to do something. You smile to yourself. If you are with your partner, you just give a kiss, you just take a selfie, or you just look if the dress is okay. So everyone that was passing by, they were doing something. And that was the first part of the thoughts. The second one is that in different cities, I realized that there are a group of people going in front of mirrored surface. Sometimes there are, windows of a shop or stuff like that. And they use those mirrors to do sport, to dance, in Milan, in Piazza Gaulenti, in the center of the city, there's a Nike store that actually after this was happening, that every day were like dozen of kids dancing in front of one of their window. They changed the window on an actual mirror. And I thought there was like an interesting language in terms of sociality out there. And so we said, why don't we create like a real tool so that you can, bring your dance crew on a park, a dance crew on a plaza, or and so that's how the Urban Mirror, got as an idea and now as a product. Actually, I think the first one will be installed in Rimini. Rimini is like in the center of Italy. It's like a very touristic destination, summer touristic destination on the sea. But there's a lot of cities that actually got interesting on that. So let's see. But I think, you know what, it's one of the products that the market understood very quickly. Sometimes you need time to explain your stuff. And in this case, he was like, yeah, the mirror, exactly as you run in the house. Exactly, you do the same but outside.
It's a great concept. I can see how it would work. And how do you do it now in COVID times, actually? Because you said before you would just rent a beautiful space at the Salone del Mobile and people would have a look. But how do you promote these products now during these times?
But, okay, obviously, we moved a lot of the budget connected to physical events to digital stuff. So as all the other companies, we did a lot of webinars and seminars. All the education for agents and distribution has been done digitally. We're waiting for the expos to restart. We're going to be the first in line when this is going to be possible, because you can show everything online, but the real actual products, you have to see it to understand the quality connected to that. But for us, it wasn't like a big problem. We are a big group. We have agents, distribution, everything is set up. And it was hard to move in new territories, but to consolidate and to work with the people that were already working with us, it wasn't hard. I think the big problem is connected to startups, to new companies. If you need a market, you need to show yourself without meeting physically with people. That's years and a half that we just passed by. It was very hard, and probably the next 6 months will still be hard. For example, for Etherland and all the other new projects that are complex problems to understand, because you're really changing in some way the way that you think the outdoor space. It's harder. But anyways, we're lucky. We're established. We already have a lot of established relationship in the market with developers, architects, and but cities.
I think these times also give you a lot of opportunities to spread your inspiration, like we're doing it now with this podcast. But you could do it. You want to set foot in the States more. I think they would really love your projects, and normally they wouldn't come across your projects. They wouldn't visit the Salone del Mobile. But you could really inspire them with these online tools, I think, so that many more places can be revived with a Urban Mirror or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
that's true.
Will also give you some opportunity. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think that? I said in my intro something you told me before, like when you have clients, they say, "I want a bench, and it has to be made of wood or concrete." And that you really want clients to ask a different question. So what is the biggest misunderstanding amongst your clients that you would like to resolve?
When we got our first talk, I was mentioning that I realized how immature is still this market.
Yeah.
Actually, there are like very few big groups like ours, and then you have a big gap, and then you have just very small artisanal companies serving maybe the municipalities where they are. So they are, almost not industrially, but artisanally creating benches and trash bins. And in a lot of time till now, the kind of requests that we have from cities, they're connected to the materials of the product. Okay, we need like a dozen of wood benches, and we know that the kind of and how we want to raise the bar of the conversations with our clients. We want we want to, to be part of the conversation when we have to decide what kind of a relationship we want to create on those space. And then we can inspire the right products to do that, the right tools to do that. And
so
at the moment,
what would you ideally want them to ask you? What are the questions you're looking for?
We want to understand what kind of people they want to attract them, what kind of lifestyle they want to build in their open spaces, what kind of problems they have in terms of sociality. We know that redesigning outdoor spaces, and even now after the pandemic that we got closed in our houses for so long time, outdoor spaces, they're going to be strategic on having, us as humanity to go back and restart to have normal relationships.
Yeah, to reconnect.
To reconnect. It's like a safe space where you can restart, to have to get close to each other. So we would like to have those kind of conversations with developers, with cities. And obviously there is a lot of architects and huge groups that are absolutely working in that way. But cities, I think culturally, sometimes they're still on the previous spot. For example, there's a lot of connected to smart cities now. A lot of conversation we're having is connected to smart cities, but the smartness of the city is very connected to resources. And so to the IQ of the city. So how smart will be the city on managing resources? But on the same time, we want to talk about EQ, emotional quotient of the city. So what kind of, interaction, what kind of feeling we want to create and inspire on those cities. So I think, but again,
I think you're so right. I have to say it. You're so right. It's not. It's all about data nowadays. But it should be about interaction and about feelings, like you mentioned. Yeah.
And data, they're memories. They're key in terms of understanding what is happening. But at the same time, you have to use this to create environment, to understanding influx of people, to understanding well-being of people through data, not just that is key, the energy that you are managing, for example. Okay, I don't want to say that that's not important for citizens, to be sustainable, for example. But the other part, it's always at the end. And you know what? Maybe you can tell me if you have this idea, if it's happening with you too. Outdoor furniture are always the last thing that even architects designs at the end of the you do the building, you do the renovation, you do all the big stuff, and then the last part, but that's important. Usually it's the final part that you do with the remaining budget. Okay, this is the remaining budget. Now we can understand what kind of benches we want to put out there. But this has to change. The outdoor, it can create super big value for the indoors. And a lot of companies understood that. And what you see and what you experience when you are outside of a building, it's a value that you can have and you can use inside the building. And I'm talking about value for square meters in the building. Okay, so
the value of the outdoor should really be used. And as a tool, as a means for social activities, for bringing people together. I think you definitely have a point there. And I wonder, there's so much investments in indoor design, and not so much in outdoor design, actually. Do you feel the same?
Yes. You know what? Living in Miami in these 10 years, I saw the difference of the value in indoor and outdoor on how the new buildings are sold. So 10 years ago, if you were, looking to the brochure of a new building, all the pictures were bathrooms and kitchens and living room, huge living rooms, huge materials. Now they're all balconies, view, outside, barbecues area. The outdoor, and really it's iconic. It's easy to see how, if you want to sell something beautiful, something luxury, the outside, what do you see and what you can experience in the outside, it's getting important in terms of giving value to. So, but yes. So
it's getting more important. Yeah. I have to close the window. I hear something outside. we're talking about the outside, and I heard kids playing at the schoolyard just nearby, and I didn't want to disturb the conversation. So we move to the inside now. Well, we're almost at the last questions, but I love talking to you. I wish I had more questions for you, but is there a specific book or training that particularly inspired you? I asked this to all my guests. It's maybe a bit of an odd question, but it brings some gold up. So please, can you share?
Okay. Actually, I got a book in mind, but now I changed my idea. I don't remember the name, but I can tell you I'm gonna give you the link, because there's a book about nomadism. Written by, I think he was a founder of a big company in the United States. And he was connecting exactly to this idea of how to develop cities so that they're going to be able to host this new kind of lifestyle that is connected to nomadism. So I think he's going to be, connected to what we have been talking about.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So I don't remember the name, because I was talking about this with a friend that didn't bought it yet, but it's going to be a good occasion for me to buy it, and then for you to give you the link.
We'll share the link. We'll do that.
Okay.
Do you have a special place that you find particularly inspiring, and why is that?
Okay. You know what? There's not like a specific place, but I can tell you that I started to work for the Placemaker with neuroscientist. So he has been, and actually there's a nice TED that he did. His name is Andrea Bariselli. He's a neuroscientist studying the effect of nature in human brain. So he has been studying for different years, like I would say like 10 years. All around the world, he has been bringing their people and see what happened to our brains when we are in the middle of nature. And he explained me why I like to live in Miami, because actually I'm living there because different reasons, business reason, but mostly it's because when I wake up in the morning and I look outside, I see far away. And I always got this idea in mind that when you are in a place where you can, when you don't have walls, when you don't have something that interrupt your view, I thought it was my own thoughts that this can push you to be more creative, more intuitive, more. And he was explaining this scientifically. And actually, there's like a direct connection between being in nature and the kind of cleanness in terms of thoughts that you can have, or inspiration that you can have, or readiness of your mind that you can have. So I would say that for me, every time I'm in nature in some way, it's probably the most inspiring places that I can be.
Yeah, I can really relate to that.
And you know what? Let me give you the last thing.
Tell me more.
We are creating a project together. The name is Vista. Probably we're going to display the first one at the Salone del Mobile in September in Milan. And it's like a training camp, but for mind. So when he explained me his research, so he understands and he knows that, for example, like a woods can give you like a specific reaction to your brains, or water can give you a specific reaction to your brain. And if you just see in terms of like a sort of meditation, if you just look to different kind of nature for 10 minutes,
I was wondering about that.
End, you can have like a real actual results. So what we're going to do is to install in the city in different spots and measure the impact of like staring at nature for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And it's like a training camp, but not for the body, but for the mind.
For the mind, yeah. A training camp for the mind. Oh, I love it already.
And so we put together our efforts, and actually I think it's going to be super interesting and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. Are different kind of nature types do different things to the brain? Because I live in North Brabant. It's a region in the Netherlands where there are a lot of woods. So I walk in the woods every day, 10,000 steps, and it brings a great inspiration. But when I go to the seaside, I have different thoughts. I mean, for me, it's really connected to the kind of nature.
You know what? For example, wood are connecting to be more ready. And actually, on the fairy tales, woods, they're never the place of relaxing. Usually, woods it's a spot where something happens. So usually woods can help you to be more straight focused on one concept, more ready in terms of thinking. Mm-hmm. Water is connected to stress and relaxation. So, or for example, it depends if it's like a small lake or if it's like the ocean. Mm-hmm. There are two different reactions. So yes, there's a lot of different reactions. And one of the things that is super interesting is that the brain understands when you're trying to cheat. So virtual reality, but even in small stuff like a real, what was the name? Real honey or fake honey. So the real honey coming from bees and fake honey are creating different reaction in the brain. The brain understands what you're eating, if it's the real one, if it's like a fake one. And that's why I'm going to give you the link of his TED Talk of Andrea. And there's a lot of his insights in that. And you're going to see that probably they're going to find some answers about the different reaction that you have in different natures.
Yeah, it's great that he studied that, because I was just wondering about it. And I mean, so he made a whole study of 10 years. I'm eager to learn what he has found out. So thank you for sharing that.
Nature is the best therapy that we can have, for sure.
Yeah, it is. Well then, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'd love to see all those beautiful places that you mentioned. I mean, I have to see it in real life, I think.
Very good. Sandra, thank you very much to you for having me. Really. It was a super nice conversation. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. I really enjoyed it. Well, now, dear listener, we've reached the end of this podcast. Did you like the conversation? Did it give you new insights or even golden nuggets for the developments you work on? I hope so. Please let us know by leaving a comment on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. And you could even send me or Alberto, if you're connected, a private message. How about that? Alberto, thank you very much for this lovely podcast conversation. And dear listener, thank you for listening. Share this podcast with people for which you think this would be very valuable. And if you want to tell me who I should really interview next time, feel free to contact me. In 4 weeks, there will be a new episode ready for you in English, in Dutch, I don't know. So till next time, stay tuned.